Okay. Intro. I liked how he introduced the class to the concept that happiness refers to our general well-being and that we would be learning what makes life enjoyable, all backed up by studies and well-researched information. Positive psychology. He taught positive psychology as a new form of psychology that leads to longevity, health, generosity, and more tolerance. And that it would make our lives more authentic. I also like learning about the different types of smiles, and I wanted to always have the Duchenne smile because I had braces back then. Class 3, flourishing. So, what I thought was interesting, and also what seemed like common knowledge to me, was that happy people play to their strengths, utilizing them every day to solve problems and strengthen their lives. I also like the well-being theory, basically making our lives more positive through relationships, engagement, and having meaning and having a sense of accomplishment. Achieving authentic happiness. I enjoyed the idea that to achieve authentic happiness, you kind of have to force yourself to at least pretend that you're happy every day. For example, smiling. I also like that expressing gratitude and forgiving others showed results for authentic happiness, which I find very beautiful. How of happiness? I thought it was very interesting finding the statistics that 50% of happiness came from our set point, 40% came from intentional activities, and 10 from our circumstances. PERMA, Love 2.0, and positivity. I enjoyed learning that positivity in general leads to more opportunities and broadens our perspective. PERMA, flow. I hadn't thought about it very often, but the idea of flow seems to have had a larger part in my life than I thought. But it seems that it may seem to me that everything I do is a challenge, or that I enjoy challenging things, but it seems that I'm in a state of flow often, whether it be working out, focusing on my studies, or outdoor activities. I find that I have actually had flow quite prevalent in my life, which is nice to know. PERMA, and meaning and achievement. I like how Professor Hill talked about self-efficacy and how that being capable and competent leads us to discover purpose and achievement. Happiest places. I like learning about thriving and which countries do the best at it. It was interesting to see that the happiest countries are also different from each other, but with significant similarities. Why we do what we do. Researching these studies by Deci and Ryan with the idea that intrinsic motivation is actually a better motivator than extrinsic rewards. With better creativity and improved problem solving, we are able to see that intrinsic motivation is a better form of motivation, and it helped me restore some faith in humanity. Some self-determination theory. It was cool to learn about self-determination theory and that autonomy, relatedness, and competence are all essential psychological needs, and that as these needs are met, there are higher amounts of intrinsic motivation for a person which is necessary. Time famine. I thought that learning about how we spend so much time, but the fact that we decide not to take vacations and work instead was a new idea for me. I love spending time not working. I found that, okay, well, looks like I'm gonna have to hold this now. Taking back our time, I discovered in this class period that I may have been overscheduled as a child, which I think was a good thing for me because though being overscheduled and to do so many activities, I discovered my love for the outdoors and spending time with people. I believe that if I hadn't had so many things to do, I would have had such a different life. Maybe I'd be spending hours playing video games instead of developing skills. But I think that there's a necessary balance to have. Building a good life in the digital age. I like how Professor Hill taught class by having us disconnect from technology so that we could learn about overconnectedness. I agree with the idea that technology can be a good thing for connecting with others, but there needs to be a time of day when we disconnect and slow down. Intentional families. I thought it was cool to learn about family rituals, and I remember times when I had family rituals as a child growing up. I like the activity where we got to think of our own rituals that we may have with our own children. For me, I want to have family scripture study and prayers so that the gospel is strong in my family. The Last Child in the Woods. Learning about relationships between children and nature is actually really cool. I liked how I was able to analyze my relationship with nature and myself. I actually found that I really enjoy backpacking, surfing, snowboarding, and camping more than I actually realized. My favorite activity is surfing because there's a lot of effort exerted, but I also have a lot of fun. I also love the feeling of the ocean water and sounds of the beach. It's just a fun activity that I love. The experience economy and experience staging. After learning about experience staging, I thought it was really cool to learn that my parents go through this exact process to plan for our family vacations. One time, my mom and I went to a trip to New York and did church history through there. It was really interesting. Fostering empathy. I like the class about fostering empathy because it reaffirmed my idea that understanding and helping each other embrace each other's humanity and caring about the details of our lives. Like their goals, problems, and dreams, challenges, and helping us see each other more than just objects. Design thinking. It was cool to see how everything that we learned actually improves our design thinking. This improves our perspective so much more than when we consider the concepts involved with design thinking. I like the marshmallow activity because I got to imagine what I wanted my tower to look like, and it turned out it was pretty tall. It was interesting to learn about the psychology of that. Designing your life intro, I thought it was actually humbling to know that I don't know exactly what's going on with my life, but I do know that I have the grit to accomplish it. Designing your life, wayfinding and odyssey plans, I thought that it was really just a cool way to discover what we enjoy. Designing your life, prototyping, I like the idea of prototyping and learning what usually gets students jobs. Designing your life, choosing happiness. It gave me hope to learn that success isn't just correlated to IQ, but also with effort and grit. Thank you for the fun semester.